Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, daycare is opening but with plenty of restrictions. Dealing with COVID-19 in a variety of industries, serving up success. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Esterbrooks. Phase 2 in the province's reopening schedule signals the reintroduction of many things, including childcare services across Ontario. However, many restrictions will be put in place to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Clark Heipel has this update.
The local social services board is working in concert with licensed childcare providers, the health unit, and local school boards. This work is planning to reopen the childcare spaces closed due to COVID-19. A cap of 10 individuals will be strictly enforced.
We know it's going to put a huge, it's going to impact the system largely. I can also tell you that staff are working at this particular moment trying to figure out what that will look like in consultation also with the health unit. So there are an awful lot of moving parts that we're playing with at this particular point.
It's difficult enough to remain socially distant as an adult, and let alone a toddler or a 2 to 3 year old running around with tons of energy. I just see that as next to impossible to keep kids apart.
Well, you're probably right, Clark, and this is why the health unit is important in the whole process. How do we actually handle that? It's going to be work in progress. There's no question about it. Difficult thing to do, but I can tell you from our perspective, and in talking to staff literally just half an hour ago about the whole process, everybody's anxious to get this happening so that we can provide an option for people with children so that they can get back to work. That's what we want to see happen, the economy open.
For parents that have questions or concerns about how to transition from emergency childcare to what's going to be offered, what do they do?
Well, I can tell you our database now has a complete email address of all of the recipients in the region that are part and parcel of that. There will be communication that will come forward from staff very shortly. Over and above that, if in fact you're not registered with DSAB, I would suggest that you take a look at our website. It does provide that information.
That website URL is dnssab.ca. Reporting for Cogeco News, I'm Clark Heipel. Let's send it back to Greg at the news desk.
Taking a look now at our COVID board for this day. Still 29 cases in total. 28 have been resolved. And no other changes to speak of. The family of slain North Bay native Tess Ritchie is taking the Toronto police and others to civil court a few months after a Toronto man was convicted of sexually assaulting and killing Ritchie. The woman's family is suing him, police, and others over the psychological devastation they have suffered as a result of her death. And that was about a year and a half ago. Friday night at about 9, police were called to a dispute at a residence on Algonquin Avenue in the city. As a result, a 32-year-old man from North Bay is charged with 1 count of assault with a weapon. Police say that weapon was a sword. It is alleged a father and son were involved in a verbal dispute inside their Algonquin Avenue residence. The argument turned into a physical altercation, and the accused retrieved a sword from his bedroom and struck the victim in the face. The victim's injury required medical attention. When police arrived, the accused had fled the scene, but he was located and apprehended a short distance away and arrested. In order to protect the identity of the victim, police say they will not be releasing the name of the accused. Frontline workers continue to adapt to the new normal working in pandemic times, and that includes paramedics who have a stressful job at the best of times. Melissa Candelaria from our sister station in Halton had a chance to speak with Madison Bridges about doing this very important job during these very trying times.
They are usually one of the firsts at the scene of an emergency, and it's no different in these COVID-19 times for Halton Region Paramedic Services. Madison Bridges has been a paramedic for 8 years. She says in some ways they've had to adapt.
You know, we're used to diversity of calls. We're used to people calling us for a whole bunch of different reasons, and that definitely hasn't changed. And the care that we're able to provide for people hasn't. But definitely right now, with everyone's heightened concern over the COVID-19 situation, I think it's really amplified our role in many ways. And I think paramedics have really been adaptable to quite a number of different things that have been thrown our way in the last few months. For instance, some of our community paramedics are doing swabbing now in long-term care and in people who can't get to an assessment center. So I think that's a really important role. But then just the rest of the time, that all of us that are on the trucks 24/7 that are still continuing to connect people to further care, whether that's in hospital or whether that's other care in the community.
These changes also include new protocols. Bridges says it has impacted response times, safety measures, and to some extent, their mental health.
We take a bit longer, unfortunately, to get to people. We have to take a lot of time to put on a lot of personal protective gear. We have masks, we have face protection, gowns, gloves, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges for us and probably for the people we serve is, we're sitting in your driveway for an extra couple minutes there just to make sure that we're safe and that we're able to provide that care. And then for us, there's a lot of cleaning. A lot of cleaning's happening pretty regularly throughout the day, and we also have to ask the patients and places we go a lot more questions about if they have any symptoms of COVID-19, just so we can communicate that to the other hospitals that we'll ultimately take them to. It's definitely different. I think probably myself, like probably many others, there's been a lot of information and a lot of unknowns, and that definitely created a certain level of stress for all of us, including members of the public and for the patients we've seen. And in long-term care and other institutional settings have really been hit pretty hard with COVID-19. So I think for myself, I definitely feel my heart goes out to them because that's been really challenging to see.
But despite the added pressure to serve the community in a pandemic, Bridges says the outpouring of public support makes the job she holds dear all worth it.
There's been lots of grand gestures of some really amazing meals and food that's been brought in, but even just some simple things of, driving around doing a standby or going to the hospital, having, small children give you a wave or.
And from one care industry to a completely different kind of care industry, pet care, especially serious pet care, has often been a serious problem the last 3 months. It's slowly getting better, but there are still many issues for vets to deal with for themselves and the pets that they care for. A pet owner that their veterinarian and the veterinarian service was not on the Ontario Essential List. Well, that was the case for many weeks. There's been a slow reopening, but they still have a ways to go, and it's been a trying time, especially in the early stages.
We were not on the essential list to begin with, which was terrifying. I even had my drug kit in my office ready to take all the narcotics home so that if we got broken into, there weren't narcotics in the community. Obviously that did not happen, which was really, really good. There was a lot of lobbying that went on with the government to make us essential workers. What we did here, my biggest concern was that we were all gonna get sick and there wasn't gonna be anyone to take care of the pets. That's what I was the most concerned about. So what we did was we split our team in half, and I sent half home and half stayed. And then if the first half got sick, which thankfully did not happen, then we had a second team in place ready to go. So that's how we did things. We were on emergency only basis. The problem with that is you can function like that for maybe a couple of weeks, but eventually the things that you push off, like ear infections or like nail infections or things like that, eventually that becomes emergent if you don't do anything about it. So we ended up doing a lot of FaceTime consults. Our college lifted some of the regulations so that we were allowed to dispense medication without actually physically putting our hands on a pet, which has not been the case previous. So we were able to do a lot more via FaceTime. We started doing curbside pickup immediately, where I could FaceTime with an owner, see what was going on with a pet. if I didn't actually have to put my hands in them to know what was wrong, then I could dispense medication, they could come get it, and off we go. So we did a lot of that.
Parkside's doors are still closed. They are treating some pets and doing a lot of curbside drop-offs of medication. But perhaps the biggest difficulty is the backlog of treatment.
That's part of the problem. So we've actually I hired 2 more girls for the summer to hold dogs, because without owners being able to come into the clinic, someone has to hang on to the animals so that I can have a look at them and then talk to their owners before we send them back out, that kind of thing. So we've been dealing with it that way, but we were not allowed to do annual appointments for at least 2 months. And so we are at least 2 months sort of backlogged on all of that and need to get caught up, because I don't want any animals ending up sick when we could have prevented it, that kind of thing. The owners can arrive, call us, we put things out, they go, no one's coming into contact with anyone else. And mostly because we, like in here, we're a little higher risk. I don't want to be giving the public, if we have it, I don't want to be giving the public that, I don't want to be spreading it. So it's actually truthfully more about protecting the public than it is about protecting us.
Break time has arrived in Cogeco News. When we come back, a special honor being bestowed on veterans in Callander. Welcome back, everybody. Veterans in Callander are getting a very and well-deserved honor for their service. A well-known street in that community is being renamed to salute them. Clark Eipel has that story.
Is coming to Lansdowne Street in Callander, as Callander Council has recently passed a motion to unofficially rename Lansdowne Street Veterans Way. This initiative was conceived by the executive of Callander Legion Branch 445. Veteran Mark Picard is the president of the Legion in Callander.
Mark approached the council when Hector Levin was still with us, and it was okayed between the 2 of them. So the council now, it's called the Beautification Committee, and we are going ahead with doing Veterans Way now.
Alongside Veterans Way, there's the cenotaph, there's a museum, so a lot of landmarks on the street.
Right. So we're putting up banners, and these banners are to go 12 months of the year, to fly 12 months of the year at this corner here at Highway 94 and Lansdowne, and at Main Street in Lansdowne there will be signs that say Veterans Way, and they will have little poppies on them, street signs, and then the banners up, and then we hope to plant some poppies at the cenotaph.
And formally, it'll still be searched as Lansdowne, like if you Google Maps it?
Yes, it's because the people on the street aren't going to change their address. It'll be Lansdowne, and then underneath that it'll be Veterans Way.
How rewarding is it?
It's very rewarding. It's nice to see the council is so on board with doing this street. It's really quite rewarding to see.
And when will all the signage go up?
Right, they're ordered. The signs are ordered. The banners are ordered because it had to be passed. So there's our committee. We picked out what we wanted, and then or town council had to pass it in their meeting, which was just last week. So they've been ordered. It's been ordered. So once it comes in, we hope to have it up by Remembrance Day of it.
That would be grand timing. Breakdown has arrived here on Cogeco News. There could be some more bad weather on the way. Clark has weather, and also he has another one of those unusual or unbeknownst streets to him. And yes, he did make his way back from that street. Weather's after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm.
Jamming to a little Creedence Clearwater revival on this Wednesday. Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here. I'll tell you where here is in a moment. I am here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. It is the middle of the week. It is hump day, and keep that in mind when I mention that this is the 8th installment of Streets You Didn't Know Existed. Getting a lot of positive feedback about this trivia game. I go live on Facebook in the afternoon on the day of, and then at 5, which you're watching Cogeco News right now, I give the answer to the trivia question. Now for today's installment, it is hump day, so keep that in mind. Behind me is a court
That has 6 houses.
and I'm in the Birch Haven neighborhood. Speaking of humps, what about Camel? Yes, the street or court of today's trivia is Camel. Well, overnight on this Wednesday night, the temperature is going to stay fairly steady, but the humidity is going to potentially produce a dangerous weather system, strong winds, potential thunder and lightning, and heavy rain, 20 to 30 millimeters of rain into the evening hours. And we're not out of the woods come Thursday, as we're going to have wind gusts up to 70 kilometers per hour. Inclement weather on the way. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast. As of time of recording, it's 95% humidity. Venturing overnight on this Wednesday night, it's going to get messy and potentially dangerous. Chance of a thunderstorm, and the wind gusts are going to be gusting to 50 kilometers per hour. And we're going to have 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. Of course, risk of a thunderstorm, and that means a risk of lightning strikes. When thunder roars, go indoors. 16 degrees the low. On Thursday, the cooling trend continues with this low pressure system. Rain changes to cloudy skies for the afternoon. Wind gusting to 70 kilometers per hour on Thursday afternoon, and the temperature drops to 10 in the afternoon. UV index non-existent. On Thursday night, a low of +5 and a small chance of showers. Friday, the cloud cover persists. Chance of showers, high 14, low 4. Skies clear Friday night into Saturday. All you weekend warriors like myself will have sunny skies on Saturday, high 18, low 6. Sunday, more sun, 20 and 9. Turning the page back to the almanac, we'll see that Sunday's temperatures that are predicted are just about normal, 21 and 10 for the normal high and low. And on Tuesday, we had a high of 23 and a low of 12. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. Greg, king of the tennis court, Estabrooks, that is a self-given title, as he hasn't beat me just yet. We'll have your sportscast, including an actual tennis story, a young woman dominating at tennis. Greg has that story right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Emma Shea recently won an award for her efforts in volleyball and tennis. The 18-year-old is now focused simply on tennis and is heading stateside in the fall, if everything goes okay, to pursue Division I college tennis. Emma Shea was a little late to the sport of tennis, although she started playing when she was very young. Initially, gymnastics was her focus and volleyball, but now it's all tennis as she's off to New York State in the fall to play NCAA Division I. And for tennis, it's the hard work she likes the most.
The grind, lots of long hours on the court, working hard, so that's what I love.
Even though her season was cut short because of the pandemic, she spent almost a full year at a tennis academy in Niagara Falls.
It was amazing. We were on court 3 hours a day, an hour of fitness at the end of the day. Of course, school mixed in there. It was an amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it in for the world.
Emma often hits with Charlie Hancock, a pretty good men's player, helps her become better. He says she is a talent with a big future.
Saw it 3 years ago when we started playing. She had incredible work ethic, and all of her ground strokes were just crisp and clean. She's only gotten insanely better when going to the academy. Everything's nice, compact, right through the ball. Heavy spin everywhere.
In her younger years, Shea was taught by Granite Club teaching pro Francois Rockman. He says she got a late start in the game, which may keep her from the most elite levels of tennis, but still, he believes she can have a great college career.
Emma started fairly late with her tennis career. She was a very accomplished gymnast before she really started tennis. And one reason why she stopped doing gymnastics is because of her height, which is of course a big advantage for tennis. So all that skills that she got from gymnastics, she's very strong. She's got good legs to run and everything like that. That helped her game a lot. But like I said, unfortunately, started a bit late with her game. So our game plan was always to see how far we can get. But to go to the pros, you've got to start at that level very young, play strong competition from very young. And unfortunately, she didn't have that.
But what does Emma have in her game that she likes the most, and what skill would you like to improve?
I love my serve. My serve is a big weapon in my game. I like coming to the net. Maybe work on my drop shots a little bit to add a little bit more mixture in my game.
She hits the ball pretty darn hard. I've seen it in person, and we'll see her again when we go play me and him. So big news for gym goers. Fit for Less in North Bay has announced they'll be opening, and all the other Fit for Lesses across Northern Ontario at least will open on June 29th, and that, we believe, will be a signal for other similar announcements as businesses are starting to open one by one. So the first step could be some good news for gym goers over the next couple of weeks, and it has been a long, long wait. Want to mention one more time that, yes, Clark did beat me in 3 sets. I'll give him that. And he had to put the scores up because this is his world, folks. This is, and then he puts in brackets, and then he says, hey, I'm not rubbing it in. Unbelievable. Important news, though. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Heavy rain is in the forecast, and we are expecting perhaps hail as well. We had a blast of rain for a very short time on Wednesday afternoon, and then it went away. Stayed cloudy, but again, there is a pretty good chance of the big wind, big rain, and maybe hail, thunder, and lightning also possibly returning tonight. Let's hope the only thunder and lightning is courtesy of yours truly on the tennis court. We'll see. I promise, folks, we'll stop this eventually. Thank you so much for watching Cogeco News on this Wednesday, and please remember that everything you see on your TV, including Cogeco News, remains truly local.